Hello, Americans. Hello, species value. Hello, species value nature system. This is a. I put a link to the. This is a in response to one of the videos by Judge Napolitano. I watch his YouTube channel, Judging Freedom. He's also one of my sources as without I don't know, never met him. He's one of my sources regarding Fox Connecticut News with retired and standing judges and their family members. I asked on social media to get on paper some interbranch family members have been planting evidences at those locations and behind my back, pretending fake ties to me, fake natures of ties to me, and to other kids and adults, and to adults since they were kids. As adults involved with identity theft, fraud, slanders, with timed collusions with overt criminal enterprises and private ones, and people enter campuses, even connected, unconnected, apparently no way connected campuses that are connected. So there are people with placements at the campuses who had conversations involving my name where there were criminally foreign influence uses of that. And they also have one of the things that shares between them. They have roles with the news too. At the same time, news predicate acts, they have fake conversations with me. If you look up Weathersfield Police and on YouTube, a number of the stories about sick things have ties to the same name, /S, and timed uses of that roles. I caught with the principal child abuser before that was caught. No, they have more involved then and now. Part of the reason I caught it and could show this is what it's actually recorded. Even the lawyers of co-defendants, a former director of the FBI and himself, Robert Chevrolet, names next to his location, increasingly involved with a Jonathan Maiano, recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed, involved with wire crime acts and methods by others. He's just in the back with federal evidences crimes with people with Connecticut courts, Connecticut District Court, and Connecticut New Britain Superior Court and Hartford courts have been planting evidences over the internet, over the World Wide Web too, and further over social media, relative to their uses of location /S, where and how the breaching method has been using them remotely. They spoke for the law as fakes. There's nothing personal against Judge Napolitano. I asked him nicely to get on paper the interbranch that have been switching names. They arrested me with faking things when I caught them with a principal child abuser, roles with untimely deaths on Trinity College, and with people tied to my area involved with that. And these are the people involved with the locations with the experts supposed to be against things like drugs. They're using that to keep their families just using lie progressions. They're lying about conversations with other people. They're changing conversations with other people at the same time, because the difference between that is also being and have been used by them self-value, criminally foreign influence. These are also names intercities in Connecticut that have roles timed, long time leading up to the World Trade Center attack in that context and since, as ones that force Saudis to roles with predicate acts with them. That they understand to an extent where and how our sides are using each other's names because they need to hide behind each other. They need to hide behind how they have roles with the campuses together, and they're not supposed to tell about that. See, they use such truths for lies by themselves or others. The difference of that is not relative either. Because we have to be led by the hyper invisible, but still discernible. Nature shows this is why we're supposed to get the Constitution unabridged, and we're supposed to have. I'm not even a lawyer. Lawyers and names on all sides of cases, criminal and civil, and their victims and the victims' advocates, and the news at the same time has been planting evidences, and with the names of the hallways of the courts, and the courts switching names and stacking sequence shifts. They have remote uses of types of identities and convictions by them, where and how that is also hyper evidentially recorded, increasingly relative to where and to how we have black people / whites of eyes / our founders having communicated to us to communicate other about how really and why really They had to leave entrenched. Slavery, North and South. That involved with the fact, keeping nature, tortures of, and extortions of themselves. And we have and slavery of themselves, sickly distinctly against every single person. This breaching method, North and South, and through other countries, themselves already fact keeping nature enslaved. Regardless of the leader become how powerful they become, and the difference of that too is they effectively employed by a breaching method. Little sick fake punks pretending money means what it doesn't. Through time, after a while, you discern people are, that's not just self-fulfilling prophecy when oh, it's all beyond our control and all that. This is employments, singular, by a breaching method of all identities of value/value progression as systems tactically ulterior from the one we are that reveals answers per how the other species bodies, even insects, have two eyes. How we could describe this. There are exceptions in exception nature. We have the same color eyes while I have different color eyes. And there are exceptions, exception nature. Some people still have the same eyes. For example, in other words, we're being shown its identity of relationship to itself, and the value of that only increasing simultaneously because the rest of the identity of the hyper simultaneous already came through and was already an identity of that won't mix with temporary / lasting, the temporary / lasting nature of itself, but one way. So we have manifest everywhere it is. Anything is, even if something is made up. It is 5 distinct identities of hyperpossession. It is 5 distinct identities of hyperpossession over every subject. Excuse me. While it is 5 distinct hyperpossessions over every verb, well, as it is coming to, from, well, as, for, and with each thing. That's why the verb has 5 names. The verb, 3 participle natures, three scientific words about the participles, nature, as identity, as value, as volume, where it is value as nature / nature as value, and where it is the opposite, simultaneously / hyper simultaneously, sequence nature / simultaneously. So it is also nature / value / value. The difference between that, it is an identity of relativity to all parts of consciousness, just like the identities of north and south, east and west. How it is in physics, the identity that keeps the identity of right to left, the same one as the identity that's right, left to right and right to left, but distinctly, non-distinctly, simultaneously, and further hyper simultaneously. And where and how reason actually works. I am not a doctor. They have been with their kids and with all kinds of people respond. Oh, I'm not an expert on that, so I refer to this database. And also, when you're referring to databases, we're putting fake things in databases. All rights to lie have been used criminally for and influenced. There's a man reportedly named James Comey, who's one of the ones involved with Congress, recorded used remotely through administrations, individually grouped in together self-valued roles with predicate acts with fax methods. They have readings of statutes that are criminally for and influenced roles. They have roles of readings of statutes criminally for and influenced self-value as a certain type of victim / hyper victim that each modern country is about, because it is also the semi-ancient countries' names are also about this. See, nature shows that the Republic was revealed by a nature of sophistication that has not been liberated yet. and other is speaking and having spoken for the law, all positive about it and or negative about it. And because, in other words, and or as uses of names, including, see, nature shows us to understand how we are hyper additionally, the same volume silence, but then hyper additionally as ground. And it shows what makes that possible, because every identity is being completed by the same hyper invisible but still discernible that shows us it revealed. Humanity has two eyes, and other species do because it's communicating with us, not with words, but it's communicating with us. And see, we have black pupils, whites of eyes. It's communicating with us. And we have a breaching method that employed that to mean other. It's communicating that to us too. We try to speak about that, communicate about that. We're gonna observe aspects of facts, qualities of and aspects of facts nature as a singular quality as criminal insidiousness, natures of positive treatments and negative treatments and or names treatments, and increasingly hyper additionally as the names of the sciences. So we have to understand the word unabridged. The Constitution is supposed to be gotten unabridged. We were not supposed to separate that, how and why our founders had to hide their actual roles and motivations completely for getting us told to get the Constitution unabridged. And in other words, they communicated for us to understand the value of why and how. Everyone was so scared and pretending other, they would speak for the law anyway. No. Meanwhile, the value of witch trials, regardless of who made them up, that's about fact, human nature, slavery, sickly, distinctly, non-distinctly, and simultaneously, and further hyper simultaneously. This still has countries grouped, even though they have means to traverse the world and had them through lifetimes. We're still in that sick, fake trap since before our founders were born, where the suburbs were designed to scale and everything to cause negative value nature progressions, acts, and natures, while it employed the only means to cause positive value nature progressions, acts, and natures more and more per nature system being shown what it being denied. It made exceptions, fake exceptions that appear to be in demonstration of the other, but they're really in demonstration /s of the same thing. Because don't forget, it is three identities of hyperpossession over each thing, each part of each thing. It is three identities of hyperpossession over while as the smallest finite detail of anything, living or not, or anything that can be made up, and we can observe this. We have to use the hyperscope of having black pupils, whites of eyes, Native Americans, and our founders who had to counter-extort the other founders, and how the Native Americans had to fight with the Native Americans, and how that has not been explained before you come to the words with relative. We're neither the Native American voices or the voices like the presidents have spoken really properly. For example, in other words, they had other told since they were kids, certain type of victim / hyper victim, every modern suit and tie encounter an exception. Otherwise, that body was sensed, even if that body was a majority. How long? Even of nations. So, in other words, this breaching method measures and maintains effectually functional. How everyone blamed what it caused past and that's inherent to the natures of reason, of syntax, of logic, the natures of them themselves, even with the histories, with convictions by history, by the significance of historical, quote, facts, unquote. You guys left out the value, humanity, of criminal foreign influences. Criminally foreign influence. See, nature shows us that even if everyone agrees to take part of systems that are still criminally foreign influenced, roles even with with witch trials or slavery of any form, nature is going to show negative value. Nature progressions, acts in nature. Nature has it. Nature revealed consciousness the way it is, shared by the living body, distinctly, non-distinctly, and hyper simultaneously. Not just the human species body. Part of the reason it is a distinct body is because one of the things being shown that is replaced when people are speaking about is special. Earth's is special difference, and our own is special difference, and the value of where how Earth, neither Earth or nor us, could be that part of each thing, therefore, of Earth and of us. So we cannot be. In other words, we could be systems other, but that's a negative identity of relationship to itself. We're how already to an extent, equally and only increasingly, the identity of space/existence, like in each identity. This is why each identity will only stay positive unto itself. All exceptions and exception nature that appear to be in demonstration of other come with demonstrations of the same thing. But this breaching method effectively at countries A through Z, before there were countries A through Z, had semi-ancient names, A through Z. This employed the names of the human volume signs, individually grouped in together. Regardless of we're not supposed, regardless of whose fault it was. Employed them to self-value roles with systems tactical ulterior from the one that is evolution's course, the way vaccines. Sciences share an identity. So, in other words, we shouldn't have to beg to get them on paper in one name and sequence. They make lists that are, it's only short words come with lists. They have to list simultaneously, or they make more names into the list. Rolls with this. So WFSB and Fox Connecticut News and WTNH have roles planting evidences at stories with the intelligence community, the FBI, other agencies, their family members, in a whole bunch of different countries. So they have a lot of nerves to be speaking about and using Russia's name or America's name and getting in the way of countering. They have New Britain Superior Court has rape threats and other federal evidences crimes and federal rules of evidences crimes and predicate acts roles with a principal child abuser since before he was caught. They also been switching names. They have black and white female judges involved also with male judges and medical families, foreign and domestic, attaching kids and their family members to fake locations, fake ties to other people, fake natures of ties to them, and with people that make fake exceptions too, involved with predicate acts uses of that, fake motivations planting too, because there are criminally foreign influenced bodies here and there and everywhere. Meanwhile, they have nuclear weapons all this time, and they want to say, one of the things they pretend voting means what it doesn't. So we're going to have mandated law followed. Connecticut Interbranch has been switching names, forging names. These are the sources of Judge Napolitano. These are the sources of Fox News, national/international, of CNN, on and off Paul Manor Ford Drive, on and off built homes next to it in New Britain, Connecticut. There's a Gary Sasso. A whole bunch of people had a conversation with him, a Gail King. Also rolled names on Covington Street in the Britain, recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed through time roles with intelligence community from Wethersfield with child abuses, child offenders, foreign and domestic too, interculturally themed. The collusions with the Italian cliques from Wethersfield that are identity theft, fraud, slaves, planting evidences role, fake motivations, and with the military all along the Borough Turnpike. Who knows this Jonathan Maiano? Jonathan Maiano is involved with many people with the intelligence community, with courts and their family members, with New Britain Superior Court, Hartford courts. They have also predicate acts methods with the branches of government grouped that are distinct. They have individually grouped together. They have to go against how nature works. They have to pretend other too. The breaching method knew they would. Breaching method knew what was entrenched north and south before our founders were born was so sick. It was going to cause nature was going to demonstrate negative value, nature progressions, acts in nature, an ulterior reality from that which would speak for positive or negative, or any name, their own or others. See, these are simple things that we should not have to debate, but we have other replacing what is actually recorded. The interbranch also have their sexual differences, sickly, distinctly recorded, used to cover up their roles with crime scenes, including murders and body dumping spots and timed uses of it. There is a conscious collusion between the people intercities that had roles with all kinds of murders and things that had connections and confessions. And they all had the same ties to the same house /S near me, with the intelligence community involved. Wethersfield police said confessed the name Colal was involved with them over the wire still, switching names. Predicate acts with facts, federal evidence is crime, federal rules of evidence is crime, child abuses, people associated with them at elderly homes involved, abuses of elderly, abuses of veterans. You think one person ever spoke with integrity for veterans? See those houses? That's part of the why. Those big when you're a kid and you're in the suburbs, you discern that breaching method would entrench those sick things, using black people's whites of eyes employed to mean other than it does. It designed only capable of being the cities. The suburbs were designed by the sick fakes, or they were sensed and hurt through our own. That's the breaching method. And when I say through our own, I mean the human volume science. We're in a semi-ancient trap. They knew everyone will pretend to speak. They can't for law. They can't speak for law. Sandy Hook campuses, and they have a prison campus there, and they have the courts there involved with them, and with the state judicial branch offices, and with the state corrections offices, and locations and names next to them. They're not legitimately planting or establishing people who are unmarked police forms, like next to the state, all along Franklin Avenue, Wethersfield Avenue, and conjunctions to it. There are people with the name DeMorrow and Cololo who have roles with child offenders at children's schools, proven and further recorded. We're tied to a principal child abuser. Also, Waiting Forensics has roles with the same house /S, involved with retired police chiefs with them, with worse than criminal incompetence. Which, please, I don't even know them. I had a conversation with the past Winnie. They put me in fake conversation with their officers. These are officers with the names Mendez and others I don't know the names of, that had fake conversations with me. And the difference of that, they have roles on Fox Connecticut News in the buildings next to it with their predicate acts, which are also locations next to the state capitol. Increasingly, they have roles with wire crimes and federal evidences crimes with a Cololo O'Brien, Newington Police, Hartford Police, Rocky Hill Police families, roles with Wethersfield Police families on my street, and people tied to them planting evidences on all sides of my house. bringing up my name around neighbors and their family members and their name up around me, criminally foreign influence. As a domain family is recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed, involved also with families that live around them through time, planting evidence against me and with people that at homes next to schools, where they're involved with identity theft, fraud, slander, pretending to be legitimate intelligence community. There's a Mike Domain and there's an Adam Domain. I never saw Adam Domain in his life. He's one of the ones with a scheduled family. These are people involved with the military, foreign and domestic, people involved with conversations. With people with interstates involved, with the intelligence community, people in conversation with teachers I had behind my back, and they can try to make fake exceptions in demonstration of the same thing, because they're also having everyone attached to fake words by others, but people aren't going to go follow mandated law. So then now they're having to hide how they had roles leading up to the World Trade Center attack in that context and since, and with the news media, and all along intercities. So Mark Violet, Ray Cololo, Joe DeMauro, and others recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed their roles with the intelligence community at locations all along Wethersfield Avenue and Franklin Avenue, and with spots next to Hartford Hospital. And there's a Joe Aiello who's also involved with them with drugs, medicines, crimes, and guns crimes with kids, with the intelligence community and military. That includes too, and Sandy Hook names who have been planting evidences with the courts, the prisons, overt criminal enterprises, private ones, killers, and names next to the body dumping spot. Recorded themselves how kept needing to hide the same sequence shifts, illusions, and uses of names roles as the ones involved with leading up to the World Trade Center attack from Connecticut intercities who've been planting evidences as the names involved with the interbranch with New York City. And they planted evidences inside the Ninth Circuit Court right next to the World Trade Center attack and other federal evidences, crimes, and predicate acts roles in that context leading up to it and since. They record, Wethersfield Police recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed. They self-valued roles, forced, tricked, hurt, persuaded with the FBI and other agencies, roles of Saudis. They forced my Saudi wife to roles with them also with people with the name O'Neill, involved with governors, on office whiting forensics, and on off of principal sex offenders campus, where teachers from West Hartford have students in Wethersfield and their intelligence community with the name O'Neill. They've been planting evidences with child offenders, sexual, medical, and doctors at the same time with overt criminal enterprises and with their families, putting whole fake transcripts, conversations with people into databases, and about crime scenes where they're involved with federal criminals since before they were caught involved with those same locations. There's a Leahy family that have boys and girls in their family, and a whole bunch of adults that work in the medical family involved with foreign countries, putting fake things in databases, fake conversations with people. They have roles with child sex offenders with upskirt pictures of the kids forced on campuses because they're putting fake motivations too. Then when you talk about it, oh, that's why were they talking online about it? They're putting fake things. There's a Judge Killian and others are involved with this judge, with this Leahy family putting fake transcripts, and with drugs, medicines, crimes, with doctors, at crime scenes roles from from Hartford Hospital. In other words, they forced people for mental evaluation. I caught them with a child offender. I told them people to call the police without telling them why. People didn't want to. I told them I'm going to make that happen. Then they attached me to fake words. So the hyper evidential is distinct from the evidential. We would have discerned this a long time ago had one person been honest with the law. We're going to tell truths, and we're not going to allow any lies, and we're going to address the extortion of George Washington and of James Madison, honestly. And that comes with how they were sickly, non-distinctly, also tortured and enslaved for achieving HOI, as we know. Who's going to tell me that science honestly spoke for New York City? Get down. Get them on paper, actually. Get them on paper now. please. Follow mandated law for your branch of government. Please, Judge Napolitano, do what's right for Fox Connecticut News. These are names on off their location involved with wire crimes with their phones and the locations next to them, who have a whole bunch of other names and bad things involved with this. A whole bunch of people like people with the name Fienza involved with a Dillon family. Also, as one of the ones planting evidences on my street through time and timed uses of connected home break-ins in the area. Wethersfield police families had and have roles with. One of the guys said he was a partner of Detective Dillon, who's one of the guys involved through time. And then again, with corners on Fairlane Drive, like the corner of Fairlane Drive and Carriage Hill Drive, reportedly involved with a recent home break-in, and with people involved with shopping centers too. There were a number of ties to the serious crime issues in the news regarding Wethersfield police and regarding police around the country. Then they jump in and change what people say. They pretend they're legitimately defending their names. They're in positions. That's why they have them. You have fake logic and natures that are in criminal insidious natures of positive, negative, and or names treatments at each age of correlation nature, speaking other than the law asks us to speak, speaking other than how reason works, than how reason asks us to have examined. So we're going to examine the value of of what came first, which is only increasing. How it comes with the order of the finite, which is also distinct, additional to that. It all comes with the order of what is active, which is simultaneously, but additionally distinct, non-distinct, simultaneous volume science. And to the extent we know what its progressive value will be. And to an extent, how and per how we know, we only know to an extent. We just by knowing that we know that it exists, we know a little bit more about it. And we can figure it out from what we know. There are 5 distinct identities that are connected by and as the same identity of value/value progression, always also 3 ways connected. Also, where and how the hyper invisible comes with the invisible but still discernible, not just the verb, but the verb and or if it is inflected as a participle nature, and or if it is a predicate. So we have 5 names for the verb. And the infinitive, what an infinitive is, comes with the conversation about what the difference between forever nature and infinity nature as an identity of value/value progression. More and more identities of infinity nature are simultaneously being made by, but also as, more and more identities of forever nature. And this was what not just English was revealed to teach. The ancient languages were revealed to teach this. And so law should have been valuing the hyper invisible but still discernible. Value of the invisible but still discernible shown by the predicate act, shown by the person who would commit one. And this, in other words, don't forget the syntax, predicate acts with facts involved with the black and white and leaving out and changing what our founders communicated. How they get away with it too is also value. How they get away with pretending to see or not to see evidence is at formal locations. Informal locations grouped are simultaneous is also relative. How they discern how in other words, even a majority of nations. In other words, we know that we could all and do all agree about things. And the people that pretend we don't agree or don't agree, they're being used remotely, also preemptively, because they already have been used remotely. They're showing needs preemptively to pretend to think this about legislation, etc. Follow mandated law for the interbranch, please. Follow mandated law. Fix the fake news. WFSP don't pretend it's personal. If I said anything personal, don't forget what came first. And please have forgiveness because you guys are recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed, involved with names since I was a kid, playing with identity theft, fraud, slanders. And you have a principal child sex offender involved with other natures of organized crime with the kids, other natures of child abuses of them, including medical. There's a Leahy family, there are a whole bunch of other people who have like a Rick C.M. Faglione involved with prosecutors and judges, people on off Connecticut District Court, Connecticut, New Britain Superior Court, and Hartford courts, and their family members and intimate ties who've been planting evidences on off campuses, spreading lies and rumors, fake ties, fake natures of ties to us and their kids. A Dean Alford, a Dean Judd. A Dean Alford has roles with probation officers tied to a Mike Oliver, who also had roles with the shooting of another boxer named Greg Kyler, and they had timed uses of that roles and confessions regarding. Um, but some of those confessions were also tied to confessions at other time. They have roles with investigations, investigators having them record themselves and other people after they already recorded other. So the hyper evidential has to be attached to the evidential. The courts have been pretending, oh, but that's the outcome. Well, we try to make it right. In other words, they're making mistakes on purpose since founding. The bullying logic is and defenses of it is delusion, tactically delusions raw too, while criminally foreign influenced quality aspects and fact GB nature itself has criminal insidiousness. When you hear people defending names, you guys came through sick. No, no, in other words, follow mandated law. The new the treatments of Donald Trump and or of the other presidents by New York City, they were used remotely. They attached me to fake conversations with them about the World Trade Center attack. WFSB after it too, as the roles with the names intercities and then interstates who did that. Weathersfield Police recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed with other police forms. They have a spot families with the name Scalora involved with predicate acts, identity thefts, and frauds. Also, with the name Cololo, said that that was a cousin of theirs. And Demaro also said that. And those are the people that were seeking me out for confessions and demonstrations of their roles with federal crimes, with various natures of federal criminals before they got caught, organized crime groups, and as people roles with little cliques, interculturally charged. So there are people associated with the military involved with a Dominic. I don't even know his last name, and his sister. I don't know her. They try to make one fake exception in a cafe. I didn't forget that. I mean, in a lunchroom, and I was only polite to her, and we had barely any interactions. We were fast, and they had one fake exception when I saw a John Mayano on my campus, and then one time after. In other words, he was involved with the names on my street, like the name Colola, with sequence shifts with names Rick C.M. Faglione. I never had anything to do with him. He was increasingly involved with medical, foreign, and domestic military. People from New Britain, Connecticut, Central Connecticut State University, affected confessions to me from little kids when I was a kid. I found out it's about people with the name Violet and Kolvenskis, also with foreign and domestic military, on and off Trinity College, on and off CCSU, and with the houses next to them, the names next to them with the intelligence community, where they use the right to lie, where they don't have the right to lie. And they've been doing that. And they've been using the difference between their cultures and religious spots. They have the religious spots further involved with the child abusers still, because they have interbranch women judges are still roles. So we have to have mandated law followed. Vaccines. They should fix the fake news and stop bringing up the other countries' names, leaving out what came first.